lawsuit.
Yeah, multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Maybe talk about
Then they still have to pay to fix the damage that was done after they pay the lawsuit.
Getting the cars out sometimes is fun.
So, where we are, they want us to do it live, so we're not able to shut down the parking garage.
Ooh, that's nice.
So, what we do is we do as much as we can to discourage people from coming into where we're washing, like parking across entrances and stuff, because we have that permission. And if there's a car there, we just wash right around it. You know, I was looking at the Radisson. If you notice, there's one parking space that wasn't sealed. So that's just what we do. We just go right around it. We don't even worry about it. They know, my customers know that that's what I'm going to do, and they're fine with it. Yeah. You know, I might try and spray out underneath it, but.
So you set the customer expectations beforehand.
Well, yeah, we have to tell them what we're going to do, right? And fortunately, my customers are going to go, oh, wait, you missed that parking space, so that's 320 feet that we're going to take off or whatever. We don't play that game,
right? Because
I was there to do my job, and they know it.
What are your customers' typical expectations for like oil stains, stuff like that?
For removal, yeah. They don't want any standing free oils. My customers are not worried about oil stains, so it makes it a lot easier. So as long as there's no free oils, we're good.
Shadowing is. Yeah,
never
really an issue.
They accept the shadowing. It's just part of the deal. But if there's pooling oil or there's grease spots, yeah, they want those gone. But you know, if you're using the right soaps or whatever, detergents, it takes it right out, so it's no big deal.
Greg was explaining his EPO process of pre-cleaning and then putting on his PVC and then cleaning in. Or do you just spray on the chemical when you get there and then just wash it and you're done?
Yep, that's what I do. What I do is we'll pre-spray the chemical. I'll run across it with a surface cleaner, and then I'll have a guy behind rinsing. Because the surface cleaner can't get behind the parking stops or do the parking stops and that kind of stuff. So I'll have a guy behind rinsing and making sure.
What about cutting in the edges? You know?
That's the rinser's job. He takes care of that.
Do you guys do like the steps and stuff like that, going up and down?
It depends on what the customer wants. We have some customers that want us to do the steps. Others say don't worry about them. Our janitorial crew will handle it.
Is that extra?
Yeah, it's extra. Of course it is.
Everything's extra. Yeah, there's garages we do where they have regular maintenance. The stairs are cleaned as part of a regular maintenance program they have. So we just clean the garage. They don't want the stairwells done. Don't even touch them. They're regular crew that comes through 6 times a year does them.
We have some regular maintenance accounts where we just go clean stairs.
Yep.
You know. And we'll go ahead and start at the top and just go all the way to the bottom, go to the other set of stairs, and go on to the next garage. We'll do 8 garages in a night, piece of cake.
Did you talk at all about and I missed part of the beginning, the CO2 detectors and things like that?
Yeah, we talked the carbon monoxide detectors down low, and then the sprinklers up on top. Yeah, we talked about that.
They don't park directly under a sprinkler with your burner blowing on it.
How do you fill your tank?
It will go off.
Have you done it?
Yes.
Anyone that's cleaned a parking garage,
That's how you fill your tank.
if you've done any number of
That's
them,
the truck
has
I
done
did
it.
not move that time. Somebody else moved that truck.
Sure. Here's the boss.
And anyone that says they have never done it is either lying or doesn't clean enough parking garages.
I'm seeing a raise in your future.
You know, that's even with washing new buildings too.
Yeah.
We did that last year. We washed they built the Yokohama tire plant, 980,000 square feet. All we washed was the beams. Because when they unloaded the beams, it was in the winter and it was raining, and the steel workers walked on the beams and got muddy feet print on them. So they hired us to go in there, and we as in me, they had to replace 21 sprinkler systems because of me, because the little bitty red thing. Yeah, we popped them off.
We usually
That was an $8,000 bill, huh?
We usually do that before they get that.
Well, we started it when it was just like this building, just the end of it. But before we got through, we worked on it all winter long, and
That
part
was a
of
long one.
Yeah,
You were on that thing for 3 months.
980,000 square feet. Before we got through, they caught up with us, and when we finished, they were putting in machinery in the other end of the building, and we were coming out.
And all at 2 cents a square foot, huh?
2 cents.
Maybe that's Arizona.
That's way more than
I
you told
may
me
be
you
from
made.
Mississippi, but we're not stupid.
It was 0.5. That's more than
My
2.
wife and my banker.
2.5 cents.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing is your customer knows what the value of your service is. If if they know that your service is worth more than the next guy, they're going to be willing to pay you more.
It's not about a low price. It's
No.
about knowing sometimes a
No.
low price will get you
It
kicked
was
out of
when-
the job.
This guy called us, and I went down and met with him, and we got on this little Ranger thing and rode out, and I looked at the building. Now we just pulled up, and it was one building. It was just beams up in the air. The beams are like 3 foot tall, and he asked me what I'd do it for. Told me what he wanted, and I told him, and he said, "No, that's not enough." And I mean, I was happy with that. And then he told me what he wanted to pay, because he said, "If I pay you this, you'll be down here when I want you to. If you get what you want, then you'll put me on the back burner, and I don't want to be on the back burner." So,
Well, that's true. That's another thing. Make it worth it so it's worth it to you to go out,
Yep.
not so you're dreading the job.
If you get a customer like that, that's going to help you and tell you how to bid it with what all the other people are doing at, remember that, because that's what other contractors expect. And if you're too low, they don't think you know what you're doing.
They think you're gonna skip something.
It makes a big difference.
They're going to worry about you skipping corners.
it's hard to bid on a job when you've got about 80,000 square feet of beams up, and then he says we got 920 more thousand coming up. So
He can't even
It
count
don't look
that.
just like
Never
this.
bet on never bet on
Required
future plans.
I love it when I see.
Give them the discount at the end, not in the front.
and we
Yeah.
did 2 more jobs for them since then. So, and they're out of Florida. So
Nice.
I'm going down there, Steve. You paid me, right?
yeah, a little bit. No, me and you.
He'll pay you Mississippi wages.
No, and no, we did not brush those either, thank you. We just used hot water. That's all we could use, hot water.
And they're, you know what? You're going to have customers like that, even for parking garages, where all they want is hot water.
And on the main building, we would start in the morning. I had 2 crews going. The building was so large, we'd start in the morning on one beam, and we'd go down that beam. When we got to the other end, we'd take lunch, and we'd come back on the other side, and we'd go home. 2 beams a day with 2 washers is all we could do.
That's a big beam.
It's a big building, yeah.
And were you doing it in a
It's
lift?
about like
Yeah.
half the
Yeah.
size of this one.
Yeah, we had 2
They
lifts.
didn't start till 11 o'clock.
And they paid for it too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he paid for that.
Yeah.
You work 30 minutes a day.
Any other questions? Problem is I've done them so many times. They're really simple for me, and so I don't know what you don't know. Does that make sense? Yeah. I did my first parking garage about 15 years ago. So I was had been in business about 10 or 11 years. And the first parking garage I did was 150,000 square feet, and I did it by myself, and I was lucky to get 20,000 square feet a night done. But they were thrilled because the previous contractor they had was going in there with a scrubber and would just go and scrub it, and that was it.
Surface, yeah, tenant thing.
Yeah. And it was a ride-on scrubber. And so when I came in with a pressure washer,
Night and day
they were
difference.
thrilled.
Yeah, I talked to Paul about this building because they sealed all the concrete. And they asked me if I would wanted to bid on it, and I told them I would. But I couldn't bid on that until I got through with this other job, the beams, because it was another construction company doing the floor,
Right.
you know. So they hired another guy, and I called Paul and sent him videos. They hired a company to seal this floor, and they had like several people, honestly, with brooms and mop buckets cleaning this was a construction site with mud everywhere, and they'd do a section just not very big at all every day, and then they were not there very long, and then a real company come in and, you know, so.
Let's say you get a phone call, hey, can you do this? And of course you want to say, yes, we do it. What are the things you need to know so you can sub it out to somebody else? They're going to ask you, how long have you been doing this?
I don't sub. I sub nothing. If I can do it, I tell them I can do it. If I've never done it before, I'll say, you know what? I've done something similar. I haven't done that exactly. but this has been my experience, and usually I'm able to sell them on that. You know, I found that being honest with them goes a lot further than trying to shuck and jive them and just trying to get the job.
I'll tell them you got to do one before you can do two. You know,
That's
I'm
it.
willing to learn. I'll make you a deal.
Yeah, I will charge you a fair price, you know, and this is what you can expect. You can expect me to try and do my best, and 99% of the time, they're thrilled with what I do. Because I'm a lot more critical of my work, just like you're probably a lot more critical of your work than your customer is.
Like
Except for Steve's truck drivers.
Well, and Steve, here. Just don't go to the casino with him because you'll win money. But you got to put $100 in.
Yeah, really.
But really, for a new job, if you've never done it before, just be honest with them. Steve never cleaned beams in a tire plant before.
I never have, but the job was there, and I knew I could do it. So we did it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now you know. Now you know what you do different next time.
I mean, you got to have friends in everything you do.
Are you directing traffic or something, Ron?
I was telling him
Look
there's
at
a
him.
bull around.
Do we need to get you some flags?
He looks like a
I'm
safety code
representing
today,
George
doesn't he?
Clark, man.
Give him a cape, he's dressed like a superhero.
It's the new Prez.
There
It's the
you
new presidential
go.
outfit.
Guy at the restaurant asked me if I was cold. Everybody's running around here with jackets on.
Hey, are you proud of me? I'm not wearing a jacket.
I know. You got to be
I
freezing.
feel good.
Well, there's no wind and the sun's on you, so it might help.
Twice in the
Yeah.
sun. He didn't want to go in that
Yeah, it's
cold
nice
water.
today.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'm going to be here all day. If you have a question, come up and ask me. What, Ron?
How important is containment when you're in these garages?
We already talked about that.
Where were you
I'm
at?
here again.
Well, it depends. Basically, it's important. You need to make sure you divert and pump, unless you have an interceptor at the bottom of the garage. And then you need to get permission to make sure that it's okay for you to use that interceptor, and make sure that either they're going to pay for the pumping or need to know if you're going to have to pay for the pumping, so you can factor that into your price.
Did I miss pricing?
I didn't talk too much about pricing. And the reason is because every location is different. Pricing in New York is going to be different than pricing in Phoenix. You know? In Iowa, yeah. These guys that get 20 cents a square foot for cleaning concrete, I don't comprehend that. I have to deal with Ron, you know? Ron charges 0.1 cents per square foot because he's a lowballer. That's right.
Yeah, you're going to see anywhere from 2 to 70 cents a square foot.
But I will tell you that most of my contracts that I have won, not my biggest one, but most of them, I have not been the lowest bid. Usually I'm the highest bid.
This is what we were saying last night.
That's a
just
city
lie.
government
It's a lie,
contract.
man.
Yep. It's not about price, because sometimes when you raise your prices, they understand you know what you're doing, and you're going to be the reliable guy that's going to show up and get it done.
And
Same
that's
thing
more
with fleet
important than price.
washing and other commercial work. They want somebody that's going to be there and get the job done, not
your certification.
My certification
pennies.
for
Can I
cleaning
take-
parking garages?
Can I take 45 seconds?
Sure.
I want to touch on what he just said there. So, no, you don't have to worry about that. It can hear me, I'm sure. Better not see me. I'm a better radio guy than I am.
He's
Look.
round guy for us.
When you guys are talking about this, we told you that the biggest lie yesterday was, when they tell you they don't want to use you is about the pricing. You just heard here a 30-year-old guy. I mean, 30-year-old. A 50-some-year-old guy. 50-some-year-old guy. 30-some years
I'll
in
send a
business.
text to my wife.
30-some years in business. Paul even said that. How long you been in business?
about 27 years.
Okay, 27 years. I'm here to tell you that I know that almost all the time, I know that every time I get the bid, I was not the lowest guy, because I'm not the lowest guy. So I mean, that's just a flat out lie. You have to remember, okay, if Scott fails or Paul fails that contract, who's in trouble? The person that hired them. Here's another little secret that you guys, I'll give you a little tidbit on this, okay? If Scott, and I know he does, I think, he has either a safety RFP or an environmental RFP, he didn't want me to tell you this, on every bid that he puts in, okay? If you submit that with your bid, Nick, and they don't hire you, and someone falls off a roof and dies, what do you think the lawyers look for? They go back and say, how did you hire this guy?
They go for the deepest pockets.
And why didn't you hire Nick? When he put you on notice and he had a safety program, you could have prevented this. Now they've got negligence. You understand this? Negligence. Okay? That person that hires you, that's their job. They're not going to put their... You guys think that lowball Larry... I apologize, Larry. Lowball Larry wins the bid every time. You think you got beat by that guy. That's not the case. It didn't happen. So what do you guys do? You go back and go, man, I didn't win the bid because I was too high. And the dumbest thing you do is lower your prices. Because now they even think they really wanted to tell you maybe you didn't get the job because they know you can't perform. How do they know this? They've been doing this 20 years and they have a budget that tells them this is how much the correct pressure washing or cleaning is going to cost for the last 20 years. So if you come in down here, they automatically know you're not going to do the job like you're supposed to. They're just buying what, Scott? Time.
They're just wasting money.
But they're buying time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They know they're buying time.
It falls under what I said a while ago about the guy with the beams when I told him what I would get a square foot, and he said, no, I don't want to pay that. I'm going to pay this because if I do, I know you'll show up and do the job.
That's it. You know, when they're doing an RFP, they have a matrix of how they score things, and usually price is only about 20% of the consideration. There's 4 or 5 things that have a higher consideration than price.
What's this RFP?
Request for proposal. So you write out, tell them what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and all that. One thing, you include different things in the RFP. You're going to include your safety program.
Do you know what a BMP is? You better take your environmental man and learn.
Best management practice.
Yeah. If you don't have a safety RFP, an environmental RFP, most of these major companies and cities, man, they're not even going to look at you. I mean, they're not going to take the chance if he turns in a safety program or how he's going to handle an accident if it happens. They're not going to hire you over him. That's why he's getting more money.
But there's actually training you can take on how to control traffic in a parking garage, and it costs you about $500. I've got the certifications. I can go out and shut down a road because I have the certifications to shut down the road.
If I shut down a sidewalk, is it a $3,500 or a $5,000 fine?
It's $5,000 fine.
$5,000 fine. I can't even shut down a sidewalk. I can't even be pressure washing a sidewalk technically without hiring a guy like him to engineer how they're going to divert the traffic.
And the stupid thing is
how
all
valuable
comes in
is
a manual, that? And all you have to do is look at the pictures and it'll tell you how to do it. But you have to have certifications to be able to look at the manual.
So they get bids from guys that don't know this stupid stuff. What are they going to do? How are they going to hire that guy? They're going to have to hire another guy to divert the traffic? No, they're just going to hire Scott.
Scott,
and it's expensive.
Your certification, would that be the UAMCC certification or specific to the city?
It is a national certification. I'm certified nationwide for traffic control.
And every city has different ordinances.
What is that from the UAMCC?
No, it is from a national. It's a ATSSA.
This is a way up stuff.
Yeah, this is Washington D.C. stuff.
Since I'm from the government, I'm going to help.
Exactly. But honestly, it helps a lot. It helps me a lot. It helps me get a lot of bids too.
Close down a big city sidewalk and find out. Just go wash on it one time, see what happens.
Yeah, just go park your truck on it for an hour, and you'll see how much it costs you. And it's not cheap. You have to set up cones and divert traffic and put up barricades and everything else in order to be able to do it legally. Right now, we're in the process of painting about a couple hundred bus stops, and so my guys have to park up on the sidewalk. And literally, we've had them come up and say, "Are you certified? Can you do this? Are you following the barricade manual?" Because every city has a barricade manual. And if my guys know what they're doing, they'll say yes because I've got the certifications. If they say no, then it's a huge problem. If they say yes, they go, "Oh, okay," and they just move on. It's silly.
So since you have the certification, you can give them the information they need.
Right. I'm considered the traffic engineer in the case that is able to divert traffic.
They fall under your authority.
Right. They fall under my authority. It's just like my contractor's license. They fall under my authority. But if they screw up, guess who has to pay? So, the certification every 5 years.
Yeah, how you get certified? You put one of these shirts and you just go stand out there and everybody thinks you know what you're doing.
We wear those shirts. You've been to my place.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. But
And we're totally
that's what you
disorganized
get.
too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. No, he doesn't have a business. He's not legit.
I had to rent those trucks, by the way.
Yeah, he rented trucks so we could take a picture.
Does it look like this?
Took the picture at the car lot.
So who do you talk to at the city level to figure out how to get those? Is it
The
Better Biz?
certifications.
Or just like how, you know, different cities have different ordinances that you're supposed to follow? Where do you-
Every city has their own traffic department.
What's that, the
Sometimes
traffic department?
sometimes it's falls under transportation. Sometimes it falls under PD, police department. It just depends on the city. My area is usually under transportation because I live in an area that has a lot of bigger cities.
I didn't know if there was like a certain place that has all the ordinances listed. that you
Well,
have
the
to-
transportation department will have a barricade manual that tells you what their guidelines are, and they'll usually say, and this is in addition to the MUTCD, which is a manual for uniform traffic control devices. And it's a book about that thick.
So the Department of Transportation, you say?
Transportation department. Yeah. And if you're friends with the contractor, he'll be able to tell you exactly who it is.
Here's a man who knows all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's the federal guys. Right, but usually it falls under the MUTCD. Any other questions? Now that Ron's talked a lot of stuff and walked away.
What'd you say a square footage for a parking spot was?
320 square feet of spot. That's the national
Never had a
standard.
problem with it, but I gotta have you.
And that includes the apron behind it for the cars pulling
But if
out.
you're like, if you've been in a job, you don't want 320 square foot per
Well,
parking
if you're
spot.
been in a job and someone calls you up and say, I have a 1,500 square foot or a 1,500 spot parking garage because that's what the parking industry uses, you know it's going to be about 450,000 square feet. Actually, about 480.
That's because you're timing times 320.
Right. And that's pretty much the standard. Every once in a while you get something funky. You know, like they'll have a whole bottom floor that's empty, it doesn't have any spaces on it. There's a garage like that right downtown Phoenix. But the standard is.
And then when you're doing that, you got to figure out where the water's going. That's your
Right,
first
you have to
step.
watch your water flow. If it's ramps, it's easy. If you have a flat deck in the ramps, because sometimes you'll have the ramps go up and down, you know, like this, and they're easy. But sometimes you'll have a ramp that goes up and a flat deck and a ramp that goes up, and they all have to go out the same way. Those are a little bit harder for water flow. It'll still flow in one direction. You'll still flow downhill.
You got to go down to the bottom. Your first step is go down to the basement where all
Right.
the water drains
Right.
and figure out that point.
Yeah, you need to figure out where the water's going to first, and then you can go up. But you know, start at the top and wash down. You never start at the bottom and wash up.
And then you probably got to figure out what ordinances there are for that water and how you got to get rid of it. If it's just going into the sewer and no one cares,
Well, if it's going through an interceptor, no one cares. It's a piece of cake. Interceptor.
and whoever runs that garage,
It's just like they have in like a car wash or whatever, where it's 3 stages, and first the sediment filters out, the oil filters out, and water goes into the sanitary sewer.
And that's okay too, where it can go down.
Yep, that's what it's designed for. That's why they made it.
and whoever you're talking to in the garage, they'll know if the water has to be reclaimed or if you can use it.
No,
No?
not necessarily. You need to go down and find the interceptor. If there's an interceptor, then you need to talk to them about getting permission to use the interceptor. Because sometimes they'll say, no, we don't want you to use that because they don't have to worry about cleaning. Well, then you have to convince them that you'll have it clean.
But when you say sweeper, you mean it's like someone comes in with one of the machines that sweeps everything?
Just like a little sweeper down here.
What if that there isn't someone that has that around to sub it out?
Well, then you can either just go ahead and power wash it, which I have done before, or you can sweep it with hand broom, or you can rent a sweeper and haul it in.
And then you charge.
These charge what's appropriate, yeah.
What if there's no sweeper and you got power wash? How much per bit? Quite a bit. And then would you do it floor by floor? With the sand and stuff?
If you're getting a sweeper, I'd have
The way they're balancing and they're pushing it
a long time because it's not going to be enough sand and dirt and grit build up in between to justify having to come back out.
So your best bet is if there isn't someone to sub out the sweeper, you rent a machine.
That's what I do. And if you live in a major city, there's going to be someone that has a sweeper.
I'm not sure how
Well, you know, every state has a major city. You know.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, yeah, but you still have
He's
Des
not
Moines.
smart enough to survive.
This city big enough that you have.
That's like 5 hours away from me. I'm northwest now.
Keokuk?
Omaha.
Omaha.
Omaha's 3 hours.
Oh yeah, you're west. I was thinking east. But yeah, there'll be a bigger city somewhere around.
Because that's probably, I mean, if I was going in to start building the garage, there's probably people from Omaha coming to Sioux City.
Somewhere in Colorado.
So they have to, you know, put mileage and stuff on there.
They have to pay for hotel rooms.
We have a zero tolerance for dollars.
All those things add up. All of them. How many parking garages there? If Sioux City has parking garages, there's going to be a guy that swoops it. I mean, that's just the way it is.
And you hit up the property managers trying to get those jobs?
Yeah,
Yeah, the rifle rack.
garage managers.
That's who you try to get into is all the property.